is Wednesday, February the 5th, the year 2014, or as a lot of people are saying now, 2K14. But we're here live, good old Santan Valley. A little bit of a change in weather here lately, but we're enjoying it. We've got the long sleeves on, got the Green Lantern cap. I'm rocking that pretty good. And we're here to have a good time. We're going to be doing the next, I'd say, 58 minutes or so here on professional wrestling, and we're glad to have you on board right here on Off the Top Rope Radio. My name is Brian Schenk. I'm the host of the program, like always. And across the board for me today, filling in for the big cheese known as Joe Carrero, is, I would say, maybe the smaller cheese. He is, of course, Mr. JoJo. JoJo, how you doing, man? Usually Joe says a few words if you want to say hi to the microphone, all the wrestling fans out there. I know they'd like to hear from you, so that's JoJo. How you doing, JoJo?
Pretty good.
Good, pretty good. Not great, not excellent, not fantastic, not tubular, just pretty good, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right. JoJo knows his stuff, man. This is one of the smartest 20-year-olds I ever met in my life. I'm going to tell you right now. So how old are you, JoJo?
15.
15.
Almost 16.
But you are a prodigy in electronics and technology and computers and everything else radio, correct?
Sure.
Okay. I'm not kidding you guys. If you want something done exclusively and professionally, you go to JoJo Carrero. And how could you have a cooler name than JoJo Carrero? I'd like to know who has a cooler name. Well, maybe Randy Macho Man Savage, God rest his soul, but JoJo Carrero is a pretty damn cool name. So, all right, JoJo, thank you so much. Nice to hear from you once again. So, anyway, I know the big Joe is over in Costa Rica for the week, and he's out doing some things and whatnot. And I'll tell you what we're going to do here. If you'd like to call in into the program and discuss anything about professional wrestling before we go to our news guy, Mr. Doug McDonald, we'd love to hear from you. If you want to talk about something, I got a few pieces of news and some things that we're going to discuss and have Doug kind of comment on and expose them further. But if you want to take some time out and get on the phone and give us a chat, we'd love to hear from you in the next 10 minutes or so. The number out here is 480-745-1033. 480-745-1033. Once again, if you'd like to call the show, talk about professional wrestling, discuss anything in the wrestling business right now, we'd love to have you on the phone, and we'd put you right through right now at 480-745-1033. Go ahead and give us a buzz if you'd like to. Also, don't forget, you can email us at Brian, B-R-I-A-N, at KQCKradio.com. If I get an email, I'll go ahead and read those out there to you. And if you'd also like to just keep in touch with us on Facebook, Off the Top Rope Radio, we're out there. Go ahead and like our page. We'd appreciate that. And I forgot to mention one of our great friends here on Off the Top Rope Radio, Mr. B. Brian Blair, will be joining us in about 30 minutes or so, formerly of the Killer Bees, a great Florida champion. He's been all over the map as a professional wrestler, and he's wrestled some of the best. He's beat some of the best. He's lost to some of the best. And I know that he's fought some of the greatest wrestlers here in the business, and we're going to be talking to him in just a little while here. So would love to have some questions about B. Brian Blair. We're going to discuss all the things that are Brian Blair. And before we go to the information I talked about here in regards to some of the things coming up here, we'll be talking to Doug here in just a moment or two. But there was interesting article here on, what is this here? This is called yardbarker.com. If you guys don't get Yardbarker, it's pretty cool because it gives you a lot of the current sports stories that are out there, kind of pretty much in a nutshell. Usually it's the top 10 stories. They're quick little links. And then you can kind of customize your page and make a favorite page, whatever you like. I've got stuff on there like football and wrestling and everything else like that. And there was an interesting story on here about TNA wrestling, which we talk about here on Off the Top Rope Radio. And it kind of mentions some of the things regarding TNA right now, where MVP, formerly of the World Wrestling Entertainment Company, a former tag team champion and a former U.S. heavyweight champion, also wrestled over in Japan. We saw on TV that he's trying to take over the company. It looks like they're doing some sort of possible NWO type of gimmick where there might be some sort of invasion and whatever else. And this may be a good thing. This may be a bad thing. We don't know because right now it's in the early stages. But I would say right now, in the way that TNA is kind of going by, losing some of the stars out there like Hogan and possibly Sting signing that big contract there with the WWE, the Legends contract that is, and some of the people have been gone like AJ Styles and a list of others. You wonder if Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, if these are people that are big enough to bring in the business, so to speak, and keep it happening. It's hard to say. But we're going to go ahead and discuss all these things right now. And JoJo, if you want to go ahead and give Doug a call here, we'd like to get him on the phone and definitely talk some news and whatever else. And We will go ahead and talk about some professional wrestling news out there, some of the current things we saw on Raw here this past week. It looks like they're moving on without CM Punk, and it looks like there could be some interesting things happening here relatively soon. There was talk about CM Punk against Triple H at WrestleMania for a big match, but the way things are right now with CM Punk, we just don't know what's going on. We have no idea what's going to be happening, and we don't know for sure what the deal is with anything regarding Mr. CM Punk. And I know a lot of people, especially the fans out there, are quite upset because they want to see CM Punk out there. They're very happy that CM Punk is in the professional wrestling world known as the WWE. But now with him out of the picture, that kind of opens up some avenues, but it also throws some speed bumps in there because it makes you wonder where they're going to go now with the absence of him, and quite possibly, do they have any ideas that they can, now move on without the likes of CM Punk in there? We talked a little bit about it last week with our good buddy Doug McDonald here from WrestlingRumors.net, and if you want to check out a great website, go to WrestlingRumors.net, and you can check out all the greatest news, all the information in regards to professional wrestling, and a very good website indeed. And we're going to go ahead and welcome our good friend here, Mr. Doug McDonald from WrestlingRumors.net. Mr. Dougie Fresh, hanging out there in good old Disneyland, I understand, this weekend. How you doing, brother?
What's going on? I'm actually in sunny Florida at Disney World at the Epcot Center tonight.
Nice. The Epcot Center is great. It looks like the big golf ball out there is what I remember.
It's exactly what it is, man. Here with the family, enjoying a little vacation time, but I still got my pulse on what's happening in the world of wrestling.
Cool, man. We're glad to have you here as usual on Off the Top Rope Radio. We do welcome you to the airwaves as well. I'm glad you could make some time with your family out there, and hopefully your wife can just give you about 10 minutes or so or whatever to talk wrestling. I know she doesn't mind that. She sounds like a good woman, so we'll just leave it at that. So.
Oh, she's awesome. She loves the product too, so it's all good.
All right. Well, listen, let's go ahead and run some things down here. We talked a little bit before we brought you on the phone about TNA. It looks like a former World Wrestling Entertainment superstar, former U.S. champion, former tag champion, Mr. MVP. I'm thinking of MTV in my head. MVP, of course, Montel Vontavious Porter. They're trying to do some sort of angle here, it looks like, possibly of like an invasion thing, maybe an NWO type of storyline. It's in the early stages. We don't really know what's going to be happening or how far it's going to go. But what are your thoughts so far about this happening? Is this something that TNA needs to do now, because they keep talking how the heavyweight title picture is such a mess, it's in such disarray, that they need to go a different direction and probably, hopefully, take Dixie Carter from having so much airtime out there and getting it to those maybe more deserving or maybe who have a better idea of what they need to do. What's your thoughts on this current angle right now, and where do we think this may lead to?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's fresh. It's new for TNA.
It's Dougie Fresh.
So, yeah, exactly. So it's new, it's exciting. They have the American Wolves, who the WWE did not want. They did a couple tryout matches with the WWE last month in the NXT division. They're an excellent tag team.
Yep.
That was a good pickup for TNA. And then they bring in MVP, who has been teasing his return to American Pro Wrestling and American Wrestling TV for a while. Mm-hmm. He has a fan base that's going to bring a couple of new faces over to Impact. So, I mean, it's a definite positive. Where it's going to take the company, nowhere that it's not right now.
Right.
I don't think it's going to impact them, no pun intended, like the way that they hope it will. It's fresh. It'll get some new viewership over to Spike TV, but I don't see it being the shot of adrenaline that the company needs.
Yeah, and you're right about that. The shot of adrenaline, which I know they desperately need, and I think that a lot of people are saying, wow, hopefully CM Punk will come over, which we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute here. But was there any word about MVP possibly being contacted by the WWE since he's coming back to the American form of wrestling, or was there any talk at all about him being interested in going back there, or was this strictly something that TNA reached out to try to maybe, like I said, further their company business, so to speak?
All talk about MVP coming back from Japan into American Pro Wrestling was about him going to TNA. We reported that he was in talks with TNA weeks before he actually appeared on television. He denied it, of course,
Yep.
that he was still a free agent, trying to give people a little bit of a tease on Royal Rumble weekend.
Yep.
Would he appear kind of deal?
Yep.
But no, he was already solidified as a TNA. We actually reported that he was in talks with TNA months ago, back in like late November, early December. So
I remember that.
That's been the popular story, word of mouth wise, was that he was always, once he left Japan, coming to work for TNA.
Now, could this be a wrestling role for him, or could this be exclusively like an on-camera situation, or maybe a little bit of both? I mean, let's put it this way, Doug. He definitely has the gift of gab. He can really talk, and he can wrestle pretty well. I know he was trained by Alex Shelley, I do believe, and Norman Smiley, so he definitely has a good background in terms of being technical when he wants to, and I think he's gotten better over the years since he left the WWE. And let's not forget, he's a great mouthpiece. And I think that's somebody right now that TNA definitely needs to kind of add to what the current thing is in wrestling, which is being able to talk and being able to wrestle.
I've always enjoyed MVP. I thought he was great. I thought that his talent was good. I thought that he only got better as he went on. Even if he looked like a Power Ranger, I still thought that he was an awesome talent, especially as far as charisma goes.
Right.
And that that it factor is what will make and break a superstar.
Yeah.
And we can get into talking about that soon, because there's another guy thinking about leaving the WWE soon who just doesn't have that it factor, even though he's an amazing wrestler.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I have an email here that is directed to you and to me from Mr. Diggity Dak. He's a great fan of our show, a great wrestling fan. I want to go and just read the email for you and go ahead and comment on it, please. He says, "Hey, Schenk, while on Facebook the other day in one of the wrestling groups, and another member asked about, does Alberto Del Rio's WWE contract expire? Please ask Doug this question on tonight's show. I tried to find the answer myself, but all I can find on WrestlingRumors.net, PWInsider.com, and WrestlingInc.com was articles that Del Rio is considering leaving the WWE after his current contract expires. Now, I read this too on your website, and I've also heard rumblings earlier in the year that he is not satisfied with his position right now, kind of being, so to speak, a punching bag for the returning Batista. Also, I've also read that he's quite well financially sound by saving his money to where if he has to retire or walk away from the big spotlight at the age of 36, he's going to be okay to sit back and say, I've got enough money to do what I want to. I can pick and choose where I want to go. I don't have to be stapled to the WWE and be on the road and run a consistent program with this company. I can do what I want to. And by having the WWE TV exposure under his belt for the last couple of years, I think that's only going to make him more profitable in the wrestling business. And could this also be a possibility for him to jump ship to the lighter schedule out there in Florida, where TNA pretty much does all their tapings? Because if I'm not mistaken, I do believe he is from the Florida area, unless I'm wrong on that. So let's talk about that email and those situations.
Here's the deal. This story broke yesterday, and the biggest, for the last thing that I can remember seeing about Del Rio and his current contract was that it was, I think it was a couple of years ago when he re-signed an extension, and it should be coming up soon, actually June-ish. Somewhere around June. It's kind of like Punk's. Honestly, it's about the same time that he would be done. And I mean, look at his year where he started out babyface and was getting a push for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
Won the championship. It was one of those things where he turned heel, which is a better role for him anyway. They did everything they could this year.
Yeah.
To get him over with the WWE Universe, it just didn't work.
Well, I like what you said.
Have the it factor to connect with them. He's an amazing talent, in my opinion. Great wrestler, amazing in the ring. Never misses a step.
Yeah, well, I like what you said too, Doug. I like what you said about how they turned him face because they were trying to go for that Latino type of baby face thing where they always try to incorporate somebody of a different ethnic background into the baby face picture to get more fans. I mean, it worked for Ron Simmons back in '92, and it was trying to work. I mean, but the whole thing with him is that he attacked Santa Claus, and then that was the weird thing where everybody was like, "Oh my God, you hit Santa with the car! I can't believe you, dirty SOB!" Blah blah. And then he was supposed to be the heel again, but then he was a baby face like 2 weeks later, coming out. He looked looked very painfully out of place by shaking hands and being nice to everybody. It just looked really forced, very much out of place. It didn't work. They went ahead and had him go ahead and beat up on Ricardo, and it worked out pretty well. Like you said, better as a heel. I hope he stays, and I hope they can find something for him to do because, let's face it, he is an excellent wrestler like you mentioned, and he's a great heel. I think he's a great fit for the WWE.
I agree. I can't disagree. There's a lot of people that do. We got a lot of Twitter feedback on our story last night about how many people are just happy that he would leave.
Yeah.
And those are the people that I believe never got him. Just never connected with him. Never understood. Those are the casual fans that don't look into it as, okay, well, he was a good wrestler, and the WWE is getting short on good wrestlers.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. What else is on your docket there for the current stuff right now? What else you want to talk about? Because I know it's been somewhat of a slow week in regards to the things we talked about last week. Can we first of all touch on one thing, and there's anything else you want to talk about, please bring it up to the forefront. This thing we talked about last week, the big news is that Sting reportedly signing the WWE Legends contract. Do we know anything more about that? Can we expand on what has been done and what we know so far? And like I said, anything else you want to bring up, please feel free to do that.
Everything about Sting and the WWE over the last 6 days has been super quiet.
It has.
After we talked last week, I believe that there was a big deal about the merchandise. We talked about that as well, but there was another thing about there was a memo that somebody tried to leak out. That definitely confirmed that the WWE is working on Sting merchandise and that he would likely go into the Hall of Fame in 2015. That's the only other bit of news attached to that. The CM Punk story is still the biggest story in wrestling.
Yes.
It's the most talked about. It's the most covered. WWE creative members have now spoken out to a couple outlets saying that they were told he left because of the concussion that he suffered at Royal Rumble, even though it was a minor concussion. They're being told that he left to go home and recoup from that so that he is ready for WrestleMania. Now, I just still don't know what to believe about any of this stuff because
me either.
The WWE has not addressed it, yet they've pulled him from all live events coming up. He is still advertised for WrestleMania. They have not pulled him from WrestleMania. But everything else, live events, Elimination Chamber, he's not a part of it.
Yeah.
So it's one of these things where did he get sent home so that he can recoup, or did he just walk out? Because the biggest thing is if WWE legally does some research and says, you're going to cost us this much money if you back out on your contract, they can sue him.
Yeah.
He's a contracted hire.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like working construction.
Yep.
There's no way that he can literally just leave with 5 months left on his 4 months left on his contract. He can't do it.
Yep.
If they fire him, that's one thing, but he can't just leave. So there's a lot of legal loopholes. There's a lot of he said bullcrap. It's still the hottest story because no one knows what's happening. I know last week, Thursday and Friday of last week, the WWE held emergency creative meetings to talk about what's coming up for WrestleMania, with the memo saying nothing that they had planned out was sacred, meaning that they could have changed anything. And I think that's more about Batista being booed and Daniel Bryan not getting the spot more than CM Punk. But CM Punk played a huge part of that. All that stuff happened in the span of 3 days.
Yep.
So they went into crisis mode last week. They had emergency meetings that were closed doors at the headquarters. Every writer was required to be there, and they had to go through every angle and storyline that they had planned out, and had to decide whether or not it was what they wanted to keep, or if they wanted to scrap it and go with something completely different. And that means that they are in a bit of a a pickle right now.
Yeah, and I want to read some here before we let you go, because I want to just read this here and maybe get a quick comment from you about this. This is from Wrestling. Let's see, I'm going to pull this up here. This is actually from the Camel Clutch blog. It's kind of a cool little thing here. This guy, his name is Seth Guttenplan, excuse me, or Gutenplan, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, there's a report from TMZ.com, and I want to read this here verbatim. It says, sources close to the situation tell TMZ Sports that Punk was livid when he learned officials scripted Batista to win the Royal Rumble because he feels Batista is not in great wrestling shape and shouldn't be featured in the title match coming up at WrestleMania. It says also here that I was talking with a friend and it came to my mind how funny the timing of Punk's departure was. Maybe it was because Batista won the Royal Rumble, or maybe WWE decided to create this big deal to get the fans to stop complaining about Daniel Bryan. After Batista won the Rumble match and Bryan didn't even participate, fans and former wrestlers were scolding the company. Mick Foley even went to the extreme in response to Bryan being left out of the Rumble. Perhaps the WWE wanted to distract the fans from Bryan's absence from the Rumble since Punk departed. I haven't seen this many people talking about Bryan anymore. The American Dragon is old news, and Punk quitting the WWE is the news story that people are talking about. That's pretty interesting stuff right there.
It's the other idea about it, man. It's the other monkey on someone's back.
Yeah.
Is that the true issue? Was it a work? Is it a planned deal? My gut feeling says it's not. Or else, but you never know. I mean, if they did tell him to go home, and he really did go home just because they told him to do so to pull some of the heat off of the Bryan situation, man. Congrats to them being an evil genius and pulling off the greatest, one of the greatest works of all time.
Yeah.
That would be an incredible detraction from all the news and interest into the Bryan situation. I did know that Batista, if you watched Raw Monday night, Batista came out before he could say anything. Del Rio came out so that the fans could not jump on Batista and boo him out of the building. He also appeared on an off-air promo segment promoting the local talent in the area to try to get cheap pops so that the fans would not boo him during during the dark segment that he was on. So they're trying to save face for Batista because I guarantee you he's walking out of WrestleMania as champion.
Yeah.
Unless they change this thing into some triple threat with Bryan, Batista's winning that title.
And it kind of angers me in a way because here I sit and I say, two of the greatest talents in the WWE, in my opinion, are CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. I'm a big Daniel Bryan fan. I think the kid is tremendous inside the ring. And if you go based off of your reception by the fans, then you've got to say this guy is number one in the business. Now, people argue the fact by saying, well, John Cena is the number one guy. I'm not going to argue that. He is definitely the number one guy.
Number one moneymaker.
Right. And he's very... he's very centered around the kids. I mean, you think about a lot of the kids out there, John Cena with the wristbands and the headbands, and that reminds me so much about 25 years ago when a man named, what was his name? Oh, Hulk Hogan, yeah. When he ruled... Yeah, when he ruled the world, so to speak, and he was the king of wrestling, and he had all the T-shirts and all the stuff out there and all the gimmicks and everything else. It's very reminiscent. When WWE finds something they can latch on to and use, they do it, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's about making money in this business, and I just hope that somewhere down the road that we do get a chance to see Daniel Bryan get pushed to that level that I think he rightfully deserves and has a good chance of showing the people out there that he can be a good champion, maybe an albeit like a transitional one, but nonetheless, I really do hope that he can go out there and get his just desserts and really hold on to that thing a little bit longer than what he did before. So that's my opinion anyway.
Well, we are in a transition period. Like I said, they are in crisis management mode.
Yep.
They have moved Extreme Rules. Originally, it was not set to be in Seattle, Washington, which is Daniel Bryan's hometown. It is now in Seattle. It is the pay-per-view after WrestleMania 30, and if anything on TV shows us what we're going to likely see in New Orleans, it's probably going to be Daniel Bryan versus Triple H for a shot at the WWE Championship at Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
It's likely that because they're talking about, the Authority maybe needing to find a new face of the WWE because they don't trust in Randy Orton anymore. And now you have Batista, who they want to turn heel anyway. The fans are already turning him heel.
Oh, yeah.
Like it or not. So it's a perfect situation. Have the Authority, who are best friends with Dave, come in and say, okay, Batista's our guy. screw Orton out of the championship at WrestleMania, give it to Batista. Batista becomes heel.
Yep.
Daniel Bryan comes out, sets up a title opportunity at Extreme Rules,
Yep.
and takes the title off of a heel Batista and has a little run with it, and they have a program going forward.
Yeah, they definitely left that window wide open, especially when Batista debuted on the 20th of January where they shook hands. It was kind of like a little cordial thing, maybe some foreshadowing for the future, but we'll have to see how that goes. And listen, I want you to have a great time there in Disneyland. Do me a favor, get Goofy's autograph for me. I've been a big fan of his for many, many years, and I know that you're in Disney World, though, right? Not Disneyland. You're in Disney World.
Yes, I'm in Florida,
Yeah, Florida, okay.
I didn't fly all the way to California. I just drove the 6 hours to Florida.
Nice. You can't go wrong with that. Good weather out there. You enjoying yourselves?
It's beautiful. It's
Awesome.
beautiful. It's 75, 80 degrees. We had 4 inches of snow on the ground last week. So it's a different story this week.
Yeah, well, you have a good time out there, man. Be safe. Don't spend all your money on stuff out there. You got to make sure you can afford all those great wrestling T-shirts for the future. I know you're a big fan. So, all right, Doug McDonald.
Yeah, do it, brother.
Enjoy your vacation. We'll have you back here next week on February the 12th, Abe Lincoln's birthday, and we'll talk more about what's happening here in the wrestling world. We'll see what's going to develop here. Hopefully, have some really good stories to discuss. And again, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you next week, man. Be safe.
Sounds good, brother. I'll see you on the next one.
Right on, right on. Take care, man. All right, there you go. Doug McDonald from WrestlingRumors.net. If you get a chance, go over and check out that website, WrestlingRumors.net. A fantastic wrestling website, can give you all the information you want to know about some of the cooler things and some of the stuff that's out there in regards to professional wrestling news and opinions and views and whatever else, and that's pretty much how it's done. So, and JoJo, we're going to go ahead and get our next guest on the phone here in a moment or two. You can go ahead and dial him up whenever you'd like to, sir. And we're going to be talking to one of my good longtime friends, a really close friend of mine. He's one of the nicest people you ever meet in the wrestling business, whether you ever want to stop him in the hallway somewhere and shake his hand, get an autograph, take a picture, talk about professional wrestling, talk about politics. We're going to discuss that as well. He's just a great guy. He's someone who has wrestled in this business. He's been all over the world. Just a really good, genuine person inside the wrestling world, and I'm glad I'm calling him my friend because he really is a good friend of mine. I know a lot of people say that he's a good friend of mine in wrestling, but no, he really is. I mean, we call and talk with each other off the air a lot and send each other texts and joke around and stuff, and when the good old Cauliflower Alley Club comes a-knocking around June now this year, as a matter of fact, June 2nd through the 4th, he'll be there talking about it, promoting it, and everything else. As a matter of fact, B. Brian Blair, my next guest, he is going to be talking about how he is on the board of directors for the CAC and head of the new memberships. And if you ever want to get involved in the CAC, which is the Cauliflower Alley Club, and by the way, I'm wearing my shirt today, which is right here, the Ring of Friendship. You guys can probably see it there on the camera, right there, Cauliflower Alley Club. This is from last year. I love this shirt. Look at that. Nice sweatshirt, keeps you warm. It's kind of a cool day in Arizona today. Some of that coolness is coming through, but like I said, we're going to be talking about the Cauliflower Alley Club, talk about his wrestling career, being out in Florida, being with the World Wrestling Federation, and, of course, his political career as well. And a matter of fact, speaking of his political career, he's actually contemplating running for the U.S. House of Representatives for the district in Florida. He's a former county commissioner and served for 2 years as the chairman of the Citizens Advisory Committee, and like we mentioned a moment ago, currently on the board of directors for the CAC and head of new memberships. Wonderful guy, good friend of mine, Mr. B. Brian Blair. What's up, Bri? We got him on the air? B. Brian Blair, you there, buddy? Hello, Brian. We got all hooked up correctly? I don't hear him. Brian, you there, buddy? I don't hear him at all. You want to put him on hold and see if you talked him off the air there? And I don't know, something wrong? We're good? Okay, we're going to go ahead. Okay, we'll just get him. I can hear something in the background. But we'll get him on the phone here in a moment or so. But like I said, political career, ups and downs in the wrestling business, had many, many injuries and situations in the past. And we're going to talk about the Iron Sheik incident as well, because I know a lot of you out there know exactly about Iron Sheik, saying things to him. And but it turns out that it was actually geared towards somebody else. And we're going to talk all about that here in a moment or two. And let's see if we got him back on the phone now. Mr. B. Brian Blair, you there, buddy?
But let me tell you something, it is so good to be on KOCK Radio, off the top rope with B. Brian Blair and my
Woo! I like it. A little Ric Flair in your voice there, but it is KQCK, but that's okay. I love the introduction. I love the plug, and I love the enthusiasm and the spunk, and it's always good to hear from my buddy, Mr. B. Brian Blair. You're having a good night out there, it sounds like.
We are having an awesome night, Brian. You know, I just got off the American Adversaries Radio. It's a good conservative talk radio show. Wow. And, you know, I know you got a lot of liberals out there hanging and banging, but, you know, they're just uninformed. Because what I want to talk to you about is the truth. You see, I read Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and it said B. Brian Blair has had 5,672 matches.
Wow.
And of those 5,762 matches, his opponents came off the rope 3,221 times. Out of those 5,672 matches, B. Brian Blair came off the rope 4,777 times. And what I'm trying to tell you is it's all speculation. It's all make-believe. It's like President Obama's speech on Obamacare. We need to do something about this nation, and we need to grab the young people, and we need to take it back.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Take it back, Jack. I like it. I like it, man. I like it a lot. You know, you and I talk about politics off the air quite a bit, and you and I share a lot of the same views. And I want to talk about your political career and, of course, your wrestling career. So since we're talking about the politics of B. Brian Blair, let's talk a little bit about this running for possibly the U.S. House of Representatives. I mean, tell me what you are thinking about with this, and what it takes, and what it entails, and when we can expect possibly seeing your name on a ballot somewhere out there in Florida.
Well, first, it's the Florida State House of Representatives.
Oh, 62.
State. Okay. And as you know, I've been the county commissioner county-wide. But in Hillsborough County, Brian, let me come back down to earth and be the commissioner, B. Brian Blair.
Yeah.
The killer B. Brian Blair, whatever you want to call me. But the fact is that I ran in the county that's 1,072.8 square miles and has 1.3 million people.
Wow.
Which is a larger voting block than 6 people that were elected governor.
Wow.
Not only did I do that for 4 years, I served as, on the Hillsborough County Citizens Advisory Committee, as you mentioned, 2 years, which is the number one board in Hillsborough County, Tampa, Florida, as many people know it. And, you know, I got a lot of things to do in my life, but one thing I want to do is make a difference. Mm-hmm. And I want to make a positive difference because I love people. You know, you see me, Brian, and one of my favorite things is like Roger said in Oklahoma, I never met a man I didn't like. Also, you know, I can add to that. You know, there's a few that I've met that I just stay away from.
Right.
But I still care about everybody, and I feel what's happening to this nation. And you know, we just gave $500 million, period. A rebel nation that's committing genocide. Yeah. When we're now getting ready to raise the debt limit, the debt ceiling, once again, because there is no limit. It's the debt ceiling that we're raising. Rattle the back to our children. And the liberals, the progressive liberals, I know there's Democrats out there, but there's some progressive liberals that just don't care. It's all about me and now. Yeah. And it can't be like that, my friend.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, this is the United States of America, and the last time I checked, it is not about me. I mean, if you think about all the great people in this country and who have sacrificed literally their blood, their sweat, their tears, their lives to create what we are. I mean, we broke away from England for a reason back in the day because we wanted our own freedom. We wanted our own representation of a country that wasn't being, you know, basically driven down into the ground. And I think that holds very dear for a lot of people out there. I'm a proud American, and I'm proud to have you say that on the airwaves here like this because I think a lot of people lose sight about what it means to be a great American and what it means to live in this country. Too many people take it for granted. That's what I can see across the board. I'm not going to, you know, section off and you know, put people in certain categories and stuff like that. But I will say that it's become a system where people take way too much advantage of, where you said just a moment ago, it's a me situation. And I don't believe in that at all. I believe in, you know, working hard, getting what you deserve because you have worked hard. Nobody handed B. Brian Blair money. He went out there and busted his ass in a squared circle over 5,000 times, as you just heard him a moment ago. And really, like I said, it's about working hard for this country and showing what it took to become this country, and that's really what I truly believe. It's not just something I'm saying just to say it. I'm saying it because I believe it, my brother.
Well, you know, Brian, it's time that everybody wakes up. We need to talk about this. every radio station and every mode of radio, not just wrestling talk radio. Whether I don't care what radio or what mean of advertisement or mean of communications that we have to the people, they need to understand what's really happening to them instead of reading what they read in the mainstream media, which is so far slanted that it's not even worth reading. But right now we have a debt ceiling that's ready to explode. We have a stock market that's ready any day now. Everybody get ready. We're going to have another Black Friday coming up around the corner. Buy some silver and gold. Brian Blair told you so. And I mean, with Obamacare, we're going to lose 2.5 to 3 million jobs.
Oh.
Come on, giving Syria $500 billion, like I said, when we're going to raise the debt ceiling again and strap our children.
Yep.
Come on.
I find it
coverage of Benghazi with the greatest travesty that
horrible
in the modern history of America.
Horrible.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, to bleed on you and the people, because I like to talk about wrestling. I can tell you some great funny jokes right now about wrestling.
And
I can entertain you all night long about wrestling because I've been with the finest. I've wined and dined with kings and queens with the American Dream. I've been all around the world. I've been with Andre the Giant. I've been up and down the ladder. I've been back and forth, up and down, wined and dined. Like I said, I've been from just all over. You go to 50 some odd countries and you get a flavor for the whole world. But right now, the whole world is looking at America.
Yeah.
And we need to realize that we have made a turn for the worse. And only the great people that are listening right now can make a difference. Those people that are listening right now, you can make a difference, and it's called the ballot box.
Yep.
And you got to do it in November. You got to go out and even if I tell you what, there's a lot of Republicans that I just think are going in the wrong direction because they think that they have to because of the media pressure. And believe me, I've been there. But we need to support them at the ballot box and say, hey, we're not going to listen to that mainstream media pressure. We're going to do what's right. We want a conservative government, a smaller, more efficient, more effective government for the people, and let these people that are sucking off the hind tit go someplace else and suck off the hind tit. Get a job. Go to work if you can. Now, we got to take care of those who cannot help themselves.
Right.
I repeat, we have to take care of those who cannot help themselves.
Right.
But we have to get off of the fact that we are feeding those that can.
Amen.
Feed themselves.
Amen. We got a great array of shows here on KQCK in regards to government and politics and everything else. I'm going to get you in contact with Joe C., our program director, CEO here, and we're going to get you on some of these other shows out here that would really love to have you as a guest, whether it's agreeing with you or disagreeing with you, but I think that you definitely have what it takes to be a great leader in this country. So with that, let's carry on over now, because I really appreciated those comments, and I'm glad that you were able to say that, and I wish you the best of luck in your career with that. And I also want to move on now a little bit to professional wrestling, because we know B. Brian Blair as the professional wrestler out there. And I just got a text a minute ago from Mr. Morgan Dollar. You know Morgan out there, a fine gentleman as he is, and probably the best taxidermist I ever seen in my life. And he was telling me he loves the shirt I'm wearing. I'm rocking out the CAC sweatshirt right now. And he says, great shirt I got there. And let's talk a little bit about the CAC, because usually it'd be around April, but now this year, the Cauliflower Alley Club in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Gold Coast Hotel will be taking place June 2nd through the 4th of this year, which is better, I think, because it gives everybody a little bit of a break. It can bring some of the greater talents out who don't have commitments in the springtime with wrestling situations. This year, June, at the Cauliflower Alley Club in Las Vegas, Nevada. You mentioned to me, and I said it too, that you're head of getting new memberships and getting people involved and getting people down there and supporting the great brother and sisterhood known as a Circle of Friendship of the Cauliflower Alley Club. And tell me a little bit about that. What have you been doing, and how cool has it been for you to be doing it?
It's been really cool. I'm really honored that Paul Laurel and Bishop Sims and of course Morgan the Man Dollar and all the guys that are on the board, and that just the general board and the head board. They believed in me, and so now I got to prove myself. I got an email from Carl Law saying, hey, we've only got 169 tickets sold, and last year at this time we had 240 sold. Well, I got to get my $100 in because that's all it costs.
Right.
Even though I'm on the board, you don't get any. The only benefit that you get is the benefit of that feeling of pride.
Exactly.
And with the Cauliflower Alley Club comes the deepest of pride. I say that from the deepest of my heart because it is just an organization, a fraternity that not only professional wrestlers can be a part of, but all the fans can be a part of.
Right
and
on.
they can go to caulifloweralleyclub.com and join right now and come with us and have the greatest time of their life. I guarantee you're going to have a great time for the least expensive vacation you've ever had.
Yep.
And not only vacation, it's more than that, but it's the $100 that Carl was talking about for the rollout, for the great dinner, for all kinds of other stuff come with that. You spend $35 a year for your membership, or $30, so you can spend $300 or $350 for a lifetime membership. And we're talking about this is the facts, Jack.
Yep.
And this is the deal. We'll see over 1,000 people will attend the Cauliflower Alley Club, and I'm telling Morgan, I'm challenging Morgan Dollar to bet me a Morgan Dollar, silver dollar. That is.
That's not worth. It's not worth a dollar. It's not worth a dollar, but it's a Morgan dollar.
We had 800 people. We had 800 people at the banquet last year. 800.
That's
now
awesome.
We've got, over 5,000. Over 8,000 members. Again, we're talking about, you can get the real numbers online.
Right.
I think it's over 8,000 members. But to have 10% of those people just at the banquet, we want to have 15% of those people at the banquet. We want to have 1,200 people at the banquet, but I'm betting on 1,000. And probably 300 of those are wrestlers that you've known from the 70s, 60s to the 2000, 2010, and some that are future superstars that you're going to say, wow, I sat at the table with that guy. I can't believe that.
I know.
He's the main event on Monday Night Raw or whatever. He's on TCW. He's on TNN. He's on any of the ROH. He's on one of the great promotions that are going on today, and he might be sitting at your table. It's going to be a blast.
Oh, without a doubt. And, and we're talking to B. Brian Blair right here on Off the Top Rope Radio with Brian Schenk on KQCK. And you mentioned that last year at this time we had about 60 or 70 more tickets already sold. But let's not forget, at this time last year, we were talking about the Cauliflower Alley Club starting in the mid-April. Now with it being in June, I think maybe some people possibly might be waiting a little bit and dragging their feet and saying, well, I've still got now another couple extra months to go ahead and do that. I really do believe that is a situation. I wouldn't be in any kind of concern or scare mode in regards to what's happening with the CAC right now. There's definitely some great fans out there, some supporters of of the CAC. Sorry, I'm fighting this cold here. But anyway, from CAC. And you know what the thing is, Brian, is that anybody who is part of the brother and sisterhood, the circle of friendship known as the CAC, we are proud members. Some of us are fans. Some of us are journalists. Some of us are radio people. Some of us are wrestlers. But we all come there for a common goal, and that is to share the love and the respect and the greatness that known of professional wrestling. No doubt about it.
Absolutely. And, it's amazing how you can go there and just feel so good. I don't care. I see so many of my old wrestling buddies there that I hadn't seen in 15, 20, 25 years. And in fact, grew up with them. And everybody, they're so nice to take a picture with you. I love to be the nice guy there. I mean, it's such a camaraderie because the fans that come there are classy people. They don't make big issues. I mean, they're just good people. I mean, I love the fans that come to the Cauliflower Alley Club for years, and I've been coming there for a long time. I was honored in 2002. This is 2014.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a privilege. You talk to the inside godfathers of the CAC, with Nick Bockwinkel and Red Back, God bless them, and then you got the Morgan Dollar.
Hey, Brian, you're breaking up a little bit, buddy. Can you find a better spot that you're just breaking up a little bit?
How's that?
That's better. I can hear you really good now.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
So, where did I leave off?
You're talking about the great people like Red Bastine and Nick Bockwinkel, some of the inside people and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, they're great pioneers. I mean, you've got just wonderful people, philanthropists. I mean, people that you're getting something in the mail. Hey, can we give this money? And let's not forget now that the Cauliflower Alley Club is money to other great institutions like the real Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the real Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. You know, the one in Amsterdam.
Yes.
The one that's coming up on March 15th and 16th.
Mm-hmm.
You go in there and you'll be amazed. And the Cauliflower Alley Club, Bishop Sanderson, I think he's got his own room. He's such a philanthropist and good guy. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, you'll meet people there that are just fabulous, and they do things that are incredible for so many people.
We're talking to B. Brian Blair right here on Off the Top Rope Radio. Brian Schenk hanging out on KQCK. And, we talked about it, too, at the CAC in Vegas, how wherever you are, you see a wrestler or whatever else, as long as you're considerate and kind and respectful and everything else, they're very approachable, every one of them. And I remember, matter of fact, me and Brian were at one of the slots last year, and we're sitting there playing some slots and whatever, and I think I won like $120 at that slot table. And then this guy here, B. Brian Blair, his first time ever playing 3-card poker at the table, lays down a bet, and he wins. What was it, Brian? Like over $250, I think, is what you won on that hand? You won some big money.
No, I got a royal flush. I won $850. I'm not really a gambler. You said come over there. I mean, I really should. I think I owe you, but I don't know if I bought you dinner or what. But anyway, I won $850. I remember, and I only put $1 on the little thing, the progressive thing.
Yeah.
So, because I'm not a big gambler, you can't go there. I'm against people that go to a gambling establishment. Go and gamble with their light bill, you just can't do that.
Right.
But for entertainment purposes, it's a great place to go to. If you set your limit and say, hey, I'm going to go out to Vegas and spend $50 or $100, whatever I can afford, win or lose, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to have a good time. That's the kind of people that come to Cauliflower Alley Club reunion. June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Yep. So is it June 3rd and 4th and 5th? I may go out there on the 2nd. I got to check my reservation again. But everybody needs to go to caulifloweralleyclub.com so they're not misinformed, and so they can join and become a part of our fraternity.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, is that even if you're just there just to enjoy, some of the surroundings and some of the great things that are going on in the main ballroom there, they do a lot of gimmick tables. You can buy old wrestling magazines or tapes or pictures or whatever else, and everybody's really mulling around and talking and stuff, and that's fun. I mean, that's the fun part about it, is to get to see some of the people you've been involved with. And this year coming up, we're going to be seeing 2 new inductees. One is P.S. Michael Hayes, Prissy Sissy. No, purely sexy, of course. Michael Hayes, the free bird that he is. And Terry Taylor, a great professional wrestler, somebody who I think never really got that full huge push to become the wrestler that he is. And I really do wish he would have gotten a better kick in this wrestling business as a wrestler himself. He was known as the Red Rooster for a while in the WWF at the time. But yeah, 2 great guys right there who are going to be inducted. And we're going to, as the months go by, we're going to expound on it very, very much. We're going to have Carl Lawler on there, of course, and we're going to have Morgan Dollar come on and talk, and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, a good friend of ours, and really get really deep into it. And I can't wait, because every time we get there, I get a hold of you right away. We meet up, we start talking, we start having a little fun, we go get a 6-pack, we have a good time, and that's exactly what CAC is all about, and we want to see you guys come out there. And like he said, go check out the website, read all about it, go to the webpage there on Facebook. You will enjoy it. And Brian, let's switch gears a little bit here to your career, because I want to talk about some of the things you've been involved in, and you showed me some of the injuries you had on your hand, where you severed some tendons at one point with a knife going through it in a wrestling match. Some really bizarre injuries you've had and everything, but that's kind of par for course, I think, out there in the wrestling world and whatnot. And what do you think it was probably your worst injury inside the ring?
Wow. Either hit by a bottle, concussion, gosh, so many different injuries. I'd have to sit back and evaluate that. But I was just thinking about what great talent you just mentioned, Brian, that's going to be honored at the scene. Michael P.S. Hayes, I can tell you stories about Red Rooster. I can tell you stories about, I can go into stories from buddy. I mean,
okay. Well, let's do this. Since you brought the Red Rooster and you said you could tell stories, let's discuss one of the rumors I've heard. And I think I brought this up to somebody else at one time. So let me ask you a question about something, and then go ahead and expand and maybe tell me a funny story or a good rib or something like that on Terry Taylor, the Red Rooster time. Now, I had heard that Terry Taylor was given that gimmick because it was between him or Kurt Hennig, who eventually became Mr. Perfect. There was talk about maybe Terry Taylor getting the Mr. Perfect gimmick and going on from there. First of all, is any of that true? And second of all, just kind of tell us what you want to say, because I love your stories about the boys.
Well, you know what? Now I'm so deep that you got me into George Scott. God bless him. You know, George Scott just passed away, and
yes,
he
did.
was an architect of a lot of great things at WWF, just like at WWE, just like, well, no, WWF for short, and he just passed away. So I just like to say, you know,
Yes.
all the wrestling fans out there, I hope you've prayed for his soul, and I know he's looking down as he's in a better place, and we'll honor him on the 28th at the Legends Lunch in Tampa, Florida. But
Awesome.
you know, thinking about Pat Patterson, what a great mind.
Yes.
You know, it was, you know, Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. You go back to Teddy DiBiase. What was Teddy? Think about what did Teddy do? The $1 Million Man. He could buy anything. So these guys were creative. You know, these are the guys in the back that, you know, not because wrestling's become more out and about. It's still, though, I don't think the person that thinks they're the smart mark, so to speak, and I don't mean that in a bad way at all, how they got educated, they don't understand the injuries that all of these guys have gotten. I mean, it's brutal. It is just brutal.
Right.
And so many football players and basketball players, I mean, and all kind of sports stars have tried, and they just couldn't, you know, cut the mustard. It's a whole different sport. So, you know, it makes me, when I talk to you, Brian Schenk, it makes me think now of Danny Hodge. I mean, guys that, you know, we'll see there. I mean, guys that could, Danny Hodge never taken off an amateur match in Oklahoma State, and he could break a pair of pliers with his bare hand.
Jeez.
I mean, this is craftsman pliers. And he's in such good shape, and you'll get to see him in Vegas in June, and you'll get he's such a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
You never get to see that again. I mean, everybody's got to go there. But also, again, I'd like to promote the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame event on the 15th, 16th. I'm going to MC there, and it's an honor for me to be the MC there. It's going along with that to do this. I'm excited about doing it. I'm going to do the cleanest job that I could possibly do, and I hope it those attending.
You're breaking up just a little bit on us, Brian. I don't know if you're in a bad spot there in the mansion known as the B. Brian Blair home, but you're just a little bit there. So
out of here.
There you go. Okay, I want to throw some names out at you because I like doing this. I like hearing some things. And if you can just give me like maybe a sentence or two on these guys, because I've got a few of them here, and I want to go back to the WWF days in the mid '80s because I know you've wrestled all of them. I know you've known them backstage. Maybe a funny story, maybe a funny situation, just an overall opinion on them. I want to start out with one of them right now, who I thought was a very, very good wrestler and one of the loudest guys you ever heard inside the ring. He wore that black arm cast for quite a while, Mr. Iron Mike Sharp. Tell us a bit about Mike.
Oh, Iron Mike. Golly. You know, true story. Mike Sharp was the last guy to leave the locker room. He was the last guy to leave the building. He's gotten locked in buildings. The guy took nobody in the history of any federation or any wrestler ever took a shower longer than Mike Sharp. The closest one was Nikolai Volkov. And he could use a whole bar of ivory soap with one sitting, with one shot. And I'm serious. I'm not kidding. I mean, he wouldn't scrub that. He had 7 bars in his bag, one for every day of the week. I mean, he was just incredible. And I talk about this. You want to work with a guy that's solid, and you know everybody. I love working with Iron Mike Sharp. Some of the guys didn't, support as much because he went through a little bit of pain, but that's the name of the game. And Iron Mike Sharp was just a tough, rugged, good guy. He maybe was, he's an unsung hero.
Yeah. I remember Nikolai Volkov, since you mentioned him a moment ago. Nikolai Volkov was on our show last year, and he talked about how there was at one point where he was in the airport, Iron Mike Sharp, and he decided to bathe himself and get clean in like a janitor's closet because there was a sink there, and he could actually scrub up and get cleaned up. I mean, he said he was the cleanest guy you'd ever want to meet.
Let me tell you something. This is a true story. Nikolai Volkov used to have one of the longer, the the hand towels, like are in the hotel, like the hand towel, they're longer, but not as long as a bath towel.
Right.
And he would suds that thing up as sudsy as that could get. And he has a paranoia of getting prostate cancer. That's at least this is his story. Now, you might be able to see through it. But he would sit there and look like, what's that girl's name when what's his name, had the memory loss, Tierra Leone, and she did that scene in the shower with that cloth, rubbing between the, gimmicks between the legs. And, that would remind me, it would remind me of Full Cough. He would sit there with that towel and rub that thing back and forth for a half hour. And I think, gosh, darn, his balls are going to fall off. I mean, something's going to happen. It was crazy. He just sing and sing Russian songs. But the towel kept going. It kept going. And he never got chafed balls, I guess. I mean, I never saw him, but we'd all tease him and say, Nikolai, something's wrong here. You must you're either gay or you're in love with the towel or you like chafed balls or, but I don't want prostate cancer.
That's too
Apparently
funny.
He read an article. This is how the mainstream media can have. He read an article that said that if he washed his anus, I guess, for 20 minutes or more, that he would never have prostate cancer.
Oh man, I don't think I'd want to wash that for 20 minutes. I mean, but you know what? God bless Nikolai. He's a great guy, and so far I understand one of the cleaner guys, as you mentioned.
That's going way inside the lock.
Yeah, that's funny stuff, man. Okay, maybe give you a couple more names before we go, because I'm looking at my wall over here with all the pictures that we've got and everything. I'm just going to pick one at random here. How about Tito Santana? He was there in the midst of your guys' run into WWF, and tremendous talent, really nice guy, one of the greater family people out there I've ever met. And how about a few words about Tito?
Oh, I love Tito. If you call him the anteater, you'll know where it came from. That's all I'm going to say.
The anteater? Okay, I'm going to throw it at him next time I talk to him.
So Mercedes Solis was not only a tremendous worker, not only a tremendous talent, a tremendous athlete. Mercedes Solis, went to West Texas State. He was a wide receiver.
Yep.
I think after wrestling Nikolai, he was a tight end. But anyway, Mercedes was a great guy, and him and Orndorff and I, we used to hang out all the time, and he was on the first tour actually from NWA from Turner Television in Atlanta. We went to Columbus. Those were the first ever trips that broke the territory. That actually went into that was the Sheik's territory, and Mercedes Tito was on those trips with us, along with Tony Atlas and Tommy Rich and P.S. Michael Hayes and just so many of the guys that you mentioned. But you spring so many memories when you talk, Brian. That's one thing I like about you, is you always leave things so much in the air. You can think about so much. When I talk to you, you expand my mind, and I appreciate that.
Thanks, brother. I do. We always have some good stuff. I'll bring things up to you, and I love hearing your stories. I love the genuine laugh that you get when I bring up something or whatever, somebody's name, and I think that's tremendous. And I know that you've made so many friends in this business. When you go to the Colorado Alley Club and you see B. Brian Blair walking around, he knows everybody, and everybody knows Brian because a great champion in Florida, a great tag team wrestler, a great singles wrestler, a good person deep down inside. If you get a chance to come out to the CAC in June at the Gold Coast Hotel, you will be amazed on how many people out there are just in awe of everything that's going around. It's a wonderful, wonderful time, and you meet good people like Brian. And I know that you and I got to know each other just by doing a radio interview, and then we started talking off the air, and we met at the CAC. And you and I are good friends, man, and that's the honest to God truth. And I love you like a brother, you know that. And you got the same name, that's a good thing, spelled the right way with an I. And we always have a good time when you're on the show, man. And I just always appreciate you coming on here. And one of these days, I'm going to bring you back on, and I'm just going to have a list of maybe 10 names, and I'm just going to start firing them out to you. I'm going to do my homework a little bit. I'm going to look back in your wrestling career and dig deep inside. I'm going to bring up some of these subjects, and I can't wait to hear you talk about them, man.
Well, I can't wait to do that, Brian. As always, be on your show. I'm excited, about the CAC in June. I'm excited about the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in March, and I'm excited about being on Off the Top Radio with Brian Schenk. This is an honor. It's a pleasure, and to everybody that's listening, whether you didn't like what I said or whether you liked what I said, think about it.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. Make your own mind up. And thank you for being a listener.
Excellent.
So much. And I'm glad you brought up the Gold Coast Hotel, because they've made so many renovations in Vegas, and it's so nice. And we get it for so cheap for all the people that are Cauliflower Alley Club members. They get such a... It's amazing, the benefits.
Well, and it's cool, too, because it's got like a 60-lane bowling alley upstairs or something, or 72 lanes or something. It's crazy. I love that bowling alley up there. It's so cool. And they also got $2 High Lifes, Miller High Life bottles up there, which I really enjoy.
I know, and that makes me think of another story about Louis Long, and don't forget he's a wrestler that'll participate in the wrestling matches there. You've got wrestling matches. Woo. You've got all kinds of schools from and advisory groups and things that fans can go to. That's like a fan fest quadruple, because we do things at CAC, or they do things. I'm just learning,
right?
But I've been there and seen it and done it. That they do things that I've never seen at any of the places where people have spent $200-300 at Fan Fest and have never gotten the value that you get when you become a Cauliflower Alley Club member.
Amen.
And you come to the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion in June.
And I've told
Schenk, God bless you, brother. God bless everybody. And I'm off the top rope, but fortunately, it's going to be with my wife. I'm taking her to dinner. Take care, brother.
Woo! Take care, buddy. Hey, leave a big tip now. Don't forget. Brian Blair says, "Hey, always at least 8%." What are you talking about? That's what I always do. So
20 homes.
All right, Brian, have a good dinner with the wife. It's good talking with you, and we'll definitely talk really soon, pal. Take good care.
You too, Brian.
All right, there we go. B. Brian Blair, my good friend, a great legend in this wrestling business, and he's just got some funny stories, man. We get together one-on-one out in Vegas, man. He just has me in stitches and laughing hysterically because he's just so funny, and he literally knows everybody in the business. I'm definitely convinced that he is pretty much the Dear Abby in professional wrestling. He knows everything. He knows everybody. So God bless him. You have a nice dinner out there, Brian, and take good care of yourselves. And listen, we got to run for this edition here of Off the Top Rope Radio, but we do appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the interview there. JoJo's going to have this thing up and archived here. Joe, about another hour or so it should be ready to go where I can start plugging it and everything? Yeah, he says yes. I tell you what, I wish I could be 15 again like JoJo. This guy sucked down a grape soda, Smarties, and nachos with cheese. If I did that, I would have to leave the premises for obvious reasons. I just wish I could be young again to enjoy all that great junk food. And the kid's like really good in shape. I mean, he's thin and everything else, so he can eat all the junk he wants to. But I was in awe of some of the things you were doing. I'm like, man, this kid's eating nachos and Smarties. I wish I could do that. But, you get older, you kind of got to watch yourself. But, JoJo, thanks for coming out and hanging with me, man, and doing what you needed to do. I really appreciate that very much. Good guy here, Mr. JoJo Carrero. Takes good care of this place here. And we always appreciate you tuning in. So we're going to go ahead and end the show. And like I said, look for the rerun. We'll have the links up and everything else. And if you ever want to send us an email, it's very simple to do. It's Brian, BRIAN, at KQCKradio.com. That's KQCKradio.com. And I'll be always happy to read your stuff on the air, get back to you personally, whatever it takes. I want to thank all my good buddies out there. Mr. Doug McDonald enjoying himself in Disney World. Watch out for Goofy. And Mr. B. Brian Blair, the Killer Bees and wrestling fame from the past in the 70s and the 80s and everything else. Good luck on your run there in the political world. I hope you do very well. I'd vote for you if I lived in Florida. And Morgan Dollar out there who sent me a text. Thank you, buddy. And here's a shirt one more time. Look at that. The CAC, baby. That's the greatest sweatshirt on the face of the earth right there. I love this. I'm proud to be a member and a part of the CAC. So get on out there, check it out. I believe it's caulifloweralley.org, by the way, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that is the correct website, but it's easy to find. Just Google it and read all the information about the Cauliflower Alley Club. They're on Facebook. The webpage has a picture of an ear, like a cauliflower ear, and the main picture in the front is I think it's Lou Thez and Nick Bockwinkel, if I'm not mistaken. But I know it's Nick Bockwinkel for sure. I think it's Lou Thez. He's shaking hands with, most positive. So anyway, we got to go. We'll be back next week right here at the same time, 5 o'clock Mountain, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, and if you're over on the Pacific side, 4 p.m. So everybody take care of yourselves. We'll see you all soon. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you at the matches.
Are you having plumbing or septic problems? No worries. Call Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service.